G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be unveiling a new project. This one's going to be over the next couple of months, hopefully sooner. To the best of my knowledge, this is an SB Civic from the early 70s. I'm going to guess around 75. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up and see exactly what model this is. None of that really matters though, because it's heavily modified. I'm going to show you what's under the bonnet of this in just a second, so stick around for an exciting new project. So welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us again. This one is a pretty exciting one, a pretty interesting one. I haven't done anything like this before, one being so old and two being so many modifications are needed. So we've got stuff everywhere. There is junk all through my garage carport. I've got a busted finger already and I haven't even started. This is it. Now it does run, it does drive. I did drive it here. I've had the car for about a week and I've had a quick look over it, jacked it up, taken the wheels off just to see what we're working with. The car is pearl white. It has been resprayed at some stage and it's in pretty rough condition, I'm going to say. We've got scuffs and things from being sitting around parked in various locations. It's changed hands a couple of times. Scuffs on every corner. But none of this sort of thing is going to matter once we get our hands on it and start getting it ready for roadworthy. It was clean when it came here, but we've had massive storms all week. Today's the warmest day it's been in probably about 10 days. It's 15 degrees outside, so I'm out in the garage and I'm ready to do a lot of work and spend the next 10 hours out here in the shed working on this thing. Now, what makes it so special? Well, it has a B16A VTEC under the hood. Now the thing barely fits in here. It's kind of weird. It's kind of on a bit of a crooked angle. It's leaning forward. There's quite a lot of stuff that's weird about it just to get this to fit in here. So it's been an unfinished project, just like our friends at Mighty Car Mods getting an unfinished Project Civic. This one's going to be equally as challenging. You can see it barely fits in there. We've got some nice ceramic coated headers, a red Mugen rocker cover, AEM fuel rail. We've got a fuel filter here. We've got a fuel pressure reg. We've got some really ugly strut tops with coilovers there. Aftermarket manifold. Mishimoto radiator. I don't have a bonnet latch yet, so we need to fix that. We've got to address the wipers, make sure they work. We're going to patch up the grille, give that some modernisation, get all of that all sorted, paint the bumpers. These are the wheels that came on it. 185/60 14s. I do have some 15-inch alloys, which are going to be running probably a 195/50 15. So they're going to fit under there just nicely, a little bit wider, a little bit better offset. These have 20mm wheel spaces. Hawkeyes will notice it's got a brake upgrade. These are EK1 sedan brakes, even EK4 brakes probably. So they're already upgraded, so that's awesome. The car features some genuine Mugen Showa shocks in the rear. It's got a disc EK sedan brake upgrade and handbrake upgrade, braided lines all the way around. In the front it has a set of, I don't even know what brand, coilovers. They're quite rattly and clunky. Whenever you drive this thing, it's just bang, 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 bang all the way down the road. It's really unnerving and unsettling because you just don't like any of those noises. So we're going to fix that. I do have brand new KYB shocks, King springs, so we're going to raise it slightly, make the ride nice and compliant. The back, we're going to reuse those springs because there's none left in the world. So we're going to see how that looks. My favourite thing about this car is the retro interior, so let's check that out. So the interior's all been redone by GT Auto Trimmers. I love this terracotta orange stitching that's been added. So we've got perforated leather, suede, Everything all there, all matching in with a perfect black and white themed trim. The roof lining's all done. We have this really cool headlamp, clock. We've got map lights, everything in this car from the early 70s. The whole rear has been done as well. There are some speakers already trimmed in there, so really nice street cruiser. This is going to be retro tech, so what that means is everything retro look wise, but modernized with fuel injection and sound system and all that really nice stuff. So really nice trim. We're going to do some secret stuff with the dash. Now the car already has some genuine Honda gauges already fitted in there. So this one has a clock down here, volts, temp and fuel. A clock up here, which is the genuine clock. Another temp and another fuel here. At the moment, none of those work, so we've got to figure out something with those. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I've never messed with that. Old school radiator, old school fan and heater. The battery's been relocated to underneath the dash. I'm not sure if that's going to stay there. Time will tell. There's been some chopped up stuff happening here. Some fuses and stuff down here. Hazard lights. I don't know what that is. It might be a demister. It might be gosh knows anything. Rear wiper. Intermittent wiper speed. Squirter. All that stuff. Check out on the gauges. You can just dial up whatever you want. 666. 75,000 Ks on it, but I don't know again how accurate that is. But we're going to do some special stuff with that. The steering wheel is in mint condition. At the moment, the horn doesn't work. Let me fire it up so we can hear it. Excuse my bodgy thumb. So it's almost out of fuel, which is good because I'm going to need to pull that out. But can you hear really bad whining of the fuel pump? Now when you're actually driving, that gets 10 times louder when it's actually under pressure. There is an exhaust on the car already. So there's a really bad noise down there. It's a bearing of some description. It could be on the clutch side, could be on the timing tensioner, could be on the alternator. I think it's on this side, but I need to find out. It really, really wants to stall now, which makes me think it's out of fuel. We've got this noisy boy here, absolutely screams. Filter, pump, wires everywhere. The fuel smell really stinks. Then we have this horrible exhaust. All right, so I've shut it off because that fuel pump was just so noisy. I think of the angle that it's sitting at and the low amount of fuel in there, it's about to stall anyway, so I've turned that off. Quite a loud noise coming from the gearbox side. I don't know if there's a clutch bearing issue, like a thrust bearing, or if there's no oil in the gearbox. I really don't know. I hope there is because it's been driven probably about, I don't know, 50 Ks since the owner's moved down here and driven it to me. So I'm going to check that, make sure there's gear oil in there. Hopefully there is. Hopefully that just quietens it down. Failing that, I might need to pull the gearbox and the engine out just to check all of the bearings and seals and everything. There's absolutely no room inside the car to work on it. So any minor things, the whole engine and transmission needs to come out. Now let's take a look at this dodgy exhaust. Now it's stainless steel, fantastic. There's mixture of V-bands, MIG welding, no TIG welding. It's all been sloppy MIG'd. It knocks absolutely everywhere. None of it fits. It's around about 2 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is go from here, cut that off, and then I'm going to add flex joint. I'm going to reuse this cat. We're going to drop the exhaust down a little bit lower so we've got clearance here, and then go to a 2-inch from here back, which will give us more clearance. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to add in a hot dog here to quieten it down, and a straight through muffler on the back. So I've got tons and tons of work cut out for me here. Yeah, there's just so many noises. I'm going to start with the easy stuff. So there's so much to go over on this car. I'm going to start with the easy things, which will be remove the suspension, check all of that out, do the fuel system, quieten that down, get that happening. I've got a few ideas for that. So that's going to be exciting and fun for me and everyone else to learn about. Once that's done, I'll do the exhaust. I'm still waiting for a couple of pieces of pipe and mufflers to show up for that. So then I'll start welding that together. And then once the suspension's quiet, the fuel tank's quiet, and the exhaust is quiet, then I'll be able to concentrate on the noises coming out of here. And I believe, it doesn't sound good, guys. I don't know what that is. From that short video that you would have just seen, you know, throw your ideas down in the comments what you think it might be. This intake plenum, although pretty awesome, it looks like a copy of a skunk manifold. It's a bit long. I'd almost prefer to use one of the genuine ones. We're contemplating repainting the rocker cover, and if the engine has to come out, then I'll probably paint the intake and everything as well. We shall see about how all that's going to come together and give us some clearance. All right, let's get stuck into it, and we'll start to go through everything that we need to do here. I've started with a little bit of a list. 70 Civic, we need to get it ready for roadworthy. First, we're going to do the suspension, fuel system, exhaust, figure out the noise, whether it's a tensioner or a gearbox. It needs a tune, custom paint some of the things, and we do have a new set of wheels here. These are the 15-inch by 7 rims, so they're going to go on. I hope you like my samurai sword bonnet stay. The car doesn't have one. You can see it lives over there. Did I just find something? A hidden secret? What the heck? Hey, there we go. All right, we don't need that. So time to take these out, these rusty old clapped out coilovers. So that looks like a 12. So let's get stuck into that. So these are the coilovers I've just taken out. They've got a very light spring and a helper spring in the front. The strut top pillow joint, or pillow ball, is really sloppy and loose. And then you have down the bottom there's quite a lot of play and movement in the threads here, so just really weird. Well, the bottom seat doesn't seem to have a thread on it. It just seems to go with whatever this is set at, and this is one piece. So, and you can see in there that there's oil coming out of that, so that is screwed, that one. So it's a blown shock, which is going to be half of our knocking and banging issues. So that goes in the bin. so we have the rear suspension out. That was a bit of detective work because I've never done suspension on a car this old before. But same as the normal Civic. 2 bolts on the top, and instead of 1 bolt at the bottom, it's 2. So pretty straightforward. That all comes out. Now I'm not going to put the new ones in just yet because I need to get in and around the fuel tank, take that out, and I need to track down some front strut tops for the front of the car, and then I'll take them into work and use the special tool to put the shocks and springs together, and then that'll make life very easy rather than spring compressors on the garage floor. So I'll get around to the other side now, get all of the suspension out of the car. We'll line it up on the concrete next to the new stuff at the end of the video. I'll turn the camera off. You've seen me do one side. The other side is just exactly the same. So let's get stuck into that. Less talk, more action. All right, so status update. Everything's pulled apart. The suspension is out. Very similar to a regular Honda. 2 bolts at the top. Well, I should say modern Honda. This is a regular Honda. Pretty weird in the back. The really wide spread apart forks on the rear suspension. Not weird, just dated design, I guess. But that's all cool. Might need to replace some bushes there. In the front, I've taken off those ugly rings. Bit of surface rust coloration there, but that should clean up. This sort of area looks pretty much similar to a newer Civic, EK, EGs, that sort of thing, with the slot there for the strut to go into. This is the suspension I've taken out of it, and this is what I mean by the weird setup in the back. This is part of the strut, and these are Mugen racing ones. They seem okay. There's no visible leaks or anything, so I may have to put those back in because I can't find, even though I ordered these as per the listing, I can't find the correct ones. The front ones are perfect. To replace this, I just need the strut tops, the factory ones. So they're in there. I've just put those both in the same box. They're right to go. King springs are sweet. It's going to lift the car up about 1 inch higher, which will give us plenty more clearance in the front and just make it ride so much nicer and take the weight of the engine and everything. With regards to the exhaust, I've pulled it all off. Here it is here. I'll try and, actually I'll go get the light. So I've got a light here on the exhaust. That's how it was, sort of a straight through off center. Pretty terrible welds all the way around. There's a bolt used there. Pretty slaggy welds on all of the joins. 2.5, 2 1/4. It goes from mandrel to press, all stainless, all the rusty joints there. There's a funny little bullet muffler there, which is pretty junk and just too big for where it's going to go. I'm going to put a hot dog in this section here once that arrives. So there's also a pretty interesting solution to the front pipe, which seems to work well enough. There is some questionable stuff in there. Hopefully, I'm trying to hold everything so you can see it's sort of cut away on the inside. I don't know how I'm going to go about fixing that. The gasket's blown out, as you can see there, so I'll need to replace that gasket. I'm going to cut this one off just about here, just behind there, and then start again. This flexi joint, pretty rattly, pretty buggered. It's been stretched out. The whole exhaust has been hanging off that for years and years, so that's gone. So I'm going to chop this off, get to work welding, and give myself a little bit more clearance under the sump so I can heat wrap it. I'm going to cut this off. I'll keep this section of bend. I may end up using it again, I'm not sure. I'm going to keep the high flow cat because we definitely need one of those. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a high flow metal cat, so it's legal. So I'm going to get out my new toy over here, which is my metal cut-off saw, and I'll make some noise and upset the neighbors by cutting and grinding. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. As you'll see by the light, I'm actually filming the ending before I finish because it's going to be dark when I do this later. However, we're about to hit 5,000 subscribers. We're very, very close. My goal for the whole year was 5,000. We're going to hit that before halfway through the year. So guess what? The goal's 10,000. So everyone jump on board. Here are 12 reasons why you should jump on board now, because there's heaps and heaps of content coming. Check this out. We've got my D16 turbo. For everyone that's been asking, the car's stored at my mother-in-law's place at the moment. I need to replace the head gasket on that one because of timing issues. D16s don't like a lot of timing, so it lifted the head and blew the head gasket. So that's getting done. We've got the CU2 K24 Accord Euro Luxury or Luxo. Some new parts have arrived for that, so we're going to get onto that one very soon, the next week. We've got the EG K20 track car. You've seen that on the channel before. There is more stuff happening with that. We need to get it back out on the track because that thing is an absolute screamer. I'm doing an EK turbo kit. Now that is one that I'm doing in conjunction with Max Peating Rods. They've already sent me a bunch of parts. I'm going to fabricate up a kit that fits all EK Civics and EGs with a D16. And the goal with that car is to keep all of the air conditioning and make everything fit, all the brackets and everything fit. I'm going to make brackets for the intercooler to sit on, so you don't have to hack up too much of your bumper like you did in the last one that I did a couple of months ago, where I pretty much had to butcher a front bumper on a Civic just to make that intercooler kit fit and rip out all the aircon and lose everything. It was a big mess. So I don't recommend that. We're going to try and make a kit that makes everything fit. I've got an EK turbo kit for a customer. I've got an idea on how to do that. You saw the last week's video where I failed and the manifold wouldn't fit, so we've got some ideas for that one coming up in the next week or so. My friend Gary, he's got his 800 horsepower B18C fully built turbo EM1. He's also got an EJ8 with a fully built D16. Big things are happening with that one soon. This one's more of a long-term project. He's pretty flat out. He also has 2 Honda City turbos. One is a very rare Honda City Turbo 2. The other one is a regular Honda City Turbo. Both of those are getting worked on. One's being restored, one's being modified. And then he also has 2 Moto Compos, which are the small bikes that fit in the boot of the Honda City. So that's pretty exciting. Be some footage when the weather warms up of us ripping around town in those. And then we have this bad boy, the SB Civic VTEC B16A RIPPA retro mod, fully customized and restored vehicle. So that's the one that's happening right now. You've just watched. So don't forget, spool up, crack VTEC, like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.